Hey there, guys. It is Tim O'Keefe, Coach Tim, once again on the Spider Juice Technologies podcast. And today I wanted to talk to you about how to be effective on the internet, not to waste a lot of money, not to waste a lot of time. So my young teenage daughter was interviewing last year for multiple companies. And whenever she would interview into some smaller companies, I always was interested in what do they do. And there's this social media company not too far down the road. So I took interest and I started looking into what they do. And essentially, they will put up social media posts for you, for the public, for the clients. And I looked at their prices and I thought, wow, I'm in the wrong business. Effectively, well, it's not effective. Took one look at it and I'm like, this is going to do nothing. It's vanilla because they had a lot of samples. And there's strategies, right, to doing social media. Right now, I'm completely running a aesthetics campaign through Instagram, as well as a brand campaign for the same brand, same aesthetics brand, through Google My Business. And we're using very, very specific strategies to funnel people. And so social media, if you really want to do social media well, there's a pretty great interview, I think, with a realtor who's crushing social media through Instagram mostly in his town in Minnesota. And he reveals several techniques he uses. And I recommend listening to it. It's in the podcast at soundcloud.com/Tim O'Keefe. But it takes work. It's his personal account where many of the people that I talk to, small and mid-sized businesses, they want somebody to run their social media for their corporate account. First problem is social media, not just media, right? It's another one of those phrases that get washed out. And, it probably could start with SEO, search engine optimization. That was, the beginning of the whole thing. I mean, what does that mean, right? And so let me back up. And then content marketing, which I'm going to talk about in a second. It's putting up content is not content marketing. That's putting up content. There's a difference. So social media requires social, and tough gig when you're a corporate, right? I mean, how do you socialize with the public? Unless you have something that's really hot and viral and something that people are really excited about. But let's just say you're a financial planner or an accountant. How does your brand communicate with the public? So that's the first question, the first kind of disconnect, right, that happens. And then I think companies expect an agency to come in and go, okay, magically fix this, make it work. And so the agency, like I talked about, they're not making promises. They're just saying, we're going to put up content. It may or may not work, and most likely it won't work. There's many reasons besides just the sociability part. One is that you're implying through social media that you're going to catch somebody in that stream of feeds and posts that has an interest in buying from you right now, right? And so the likelihood of that without some strategy is not very, very likely. The way to do it, if you're going to do social media, if you're hell bent on doing social media, just do ads. I have a friend who makes a living off of Facebook ads. He hardly ever posts in the business page. He just posts into an ad and advertises. He said, why bother anymore? Nobody sees your business page. And therein is the problem. Nobody sees your business page. In fact, give or take 5% of your likes to your business page see your post on their page. And let's be honest, right? Let's have an honest moment with ourselves. Unless that content's compelling and exactly what that person who likes your wall wants and needs and desires right now, that's a half a second swipe past your sponsored post. So there's got to be a better way. And this isn't about advertising. This is about a comprehensive beginning of what I call 4D social SEO. And what it means is understanding the entire internet and your possibilities. The problem that people are I hear this every day. People struggle with SEO and will I really get because Google is so scattered and fragmented, will I really, even if I'm number one, will I get leads? And the biggest problem that your clients, prospective clients, have is distractions, especially when most of them are on a phone. And so they are being taught to swipe, boom, 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 boom. It's worse than ever. And so what we try to do is create a click stream that is you, and then you, and then you, and then you. There you are everywhere. You're ubiquitous, right? So you're on Facebook, and then they go to your Google My Business, and then they go to your website. Anywhere along the way, they could call you or text you or email you. So why do I call it 4D? Because I remember when all this, started, the social media, Web 2.0 stuff, 13 years ago, I think it was, or so, 2005, 6. Remember MySpace and those things? Well, hey, I was happy to be a blogger, and I was, one of the biggest, bloggers around in my niche, and then the social things started happening, and I remember sitting at a conference thinking, this is just stupid. People were all into Twitter, and they're literally, I called it the digital passing of notes in the classroom. You remember passing notes? My mom, when they moved a few years back, gave me a bunch of kid stuff, and I had a note from an old girlfriend that I liked, and do you like me? Check this box, and like 6th grade or something, and hilarious. Well, nowadays it's all text, right? And they were doing this in this conference of like world-class marketers, right? And I'm thinking, this is stupid. And but it became mainstream, so it doesn't matter if it's stupid. People are on it. The last 2 presidents are on it, lots. So that's where the world is, right? And so you want to find not where the world is, but where your customers are. And the largest the largest lever that you can use is still SEO. It's still your website through Google My Business. That's something new that I've been. Google My Business is, in many ways, more important than your website. But let's just say it's as important as your website. So what we do is make it so that, we alleviate what I saw was coming years ago, which was, you got people over at Foursquare that became a big thing. You had people on Twitter. You had people splintering off over in all these different communities where they like to hang out. And I always thought, well, it'll settle where people will see it doesn't make sense spending time in Foursquare, or it doesn't make sense spending time in Snapchat or whatever. And maybe it is. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I just don't believe it is. At least for what I do and my clients do. However, there's some business to be had here or there in Twitter. There's some business to be had here or there in Instagram, in Facebook. Well, the problem in Facebook business is pages is only 5% of the people see you, as I said. So how do you do this? And let's not forget reputation management. I've had a couple projects just recently. Thank God I was able to get these negative newspaper articles and government documents off of the first page for these rather large business entities. And it's business, it's reputation also that we're looking at. So how do you do all of that? Because all of it is social, all of it is SEO, all of these things are reputation. Why? Because if I go on social media and I see somebody bad mouthing that's bad reputation. If you have 1 star, that's bad reputation. Is that 1 star on Facebook? Is that 1 star on Google My Business? Or is it on Zillow if you're a realtor, or Health Grades if you're a doctor? You cannot afford that. You don't want that, right? And by the way, Nielsen, I believe it was Nielsen, recently came out and said that a top 1 result is not enough anymore. You have to have positive reviews. People have become so skeptical that they're looking for who has the good reviews. And we could talk about that on a whole different podcast. But so that's part of reputation. But the world, when they're about to investigate something or buy something, the world goes through Google. And so, gosh, I remember years ago, I was trying to get my arms around social media. And, because I'm known a lot as an SEO guy, but as an SEO guy, really what I look at all of us who have an entity on the web that's trying to sell something, right? We're content creators. That's the only thing that gets anybody to a web page anywhere. And so when I have a Foursquare, I have a Facebook, I have a business Twitter. All these are my businesses, right? They're my entities. And so those are the places that I'm at. And guess what? I'm starting to look like a big boy business. In other words, a real brand, a real business. Unlike the junk that Google has tried for years to siphon through. And as a SEO on, of every color, white, gray, and black, I was complicit as anybody in, putting out sites into the cesspool, which Eric Schmidt said the only way to clean up the cesspool is to to honor brands. It's not a direct quote. I can't remember how he said it, but Eric Schmidt was the ex-CEO of Google. So in their patents, they honor brands. And the way they do it is by realizing that, Coca-Cola is not going to link out on their front page to Joe's Hobby Shop. Right? Realtor.com is not going to link out on their front page to Bill's Realty. They just don't. And so Google realized that. A lot of people think, oh, they just went and listed a bunch of brands. And no, they went out and looked at what's trusted. I'm not sure that it's documented, but what I would do with all their brains is look at what are some of the bigger brands in different niches, and then algorithmically match it up. So formulaically, they look at what goes into a big brand. What does a big brand do? A big brand has social presence that's consistent across the web. What do I mean by that? A big brand is on Facebook, and it's listed the same way on Instagram, and it's listed the same way each time. The addresses, the phone numbers are the same. I talked a little bit about this in the last podcast. But how do you kill three birds with one stone? The three birds are social, SEO, and reputation. How do I get all of those? Well, you work with the biggest lever, which is content, and then syndicate that content from your source, which should be most of the time, not always. Some people actually use Facebook as their original source. I do that on a site that I created years ago after the Great Recession called Positive on Real Estate. I just let go of the domain. I forever have been redirecting it, 301 redirecting it to the Facebook page because it's just easier to post, and I don't do anything original there. I just curate. And so I use that as the main source, and then that syndicates out to other socials. But mostly you're going to use your own stuff and your own website. And so what we do is we syndicate your content. We do a blog post, or you do a blog post, and your site is automatically syndicated to Facebook, and about 20 to start out. When we first set it up, it's about 20 different sites that are like Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Flickr, et cetera, and so that you're automatically posting, and then with a link back to the source, and so we're getting SEO value because we're getting links. We're getting SEO value because we're branded. Our brand is exposing our footprint as a brand, and more trusted brand, because Google trusts who it trusts. So we're on trusted places. Google trusts Facebook, does it not? And we're on it, and we're creating consistent content on it that links back to source. And so that is how you create a brand, how you create a brand that serves you for SEO so you get better rankings. And it also takes care of your social media. I've seen people get overwhelmed because they start doing content in Twitter. Well, there's no time to do Facebook then. And somewhere along the way, they forgot to blog, which is their site that, there's the one thing on earth they control. Facebook may, delete all the pages tomorrow. I've seen it happen on certain people's Facebook business pages. So this is how you kill three birds with one stone. And you're using, uh, to stay with the metaphor, the best bird is the SEO, because that is where it is most of the bang for your buck. And so by giving your SEO on your site, this syndication, it really, really helps. Now, what we'll do also by hand right now is syndicate, or manually syndicate, let me say, into Google My Business posts, which, by the way, are starting to show up in Google results. Hello. Okay. So now eventually they have them out there. I don't like any of the tools that's out there right now that syndicates a blog post to your Google My Business post. I just, they're clunky, and it's actually faster to do it by hand, and predictable. So we're testing. Eventually, that's going to be automatic also. And so you just have this little machine working through the hyperlocal results, as well as, which gives you Google My Business, as well as the organic results when the map pack shows up on top, or your organic shows up on top. Either way, so you're in that way you're killing four birds with one stone if you include Google My Business. Now, Google My Business, I've said it earlier this year, and I've heard it mimicked throughout the industry, is the best social media secret on the web. And it is, in fact, the biggest social media outlet there is. It's beautiful because people don't see it for all the power that it has. It has a question and answer section, right? It has a review section, reputation management, social media. It has pictures to share, just like on Facebook. It has a place for videos to share, just like on Facebook. And your outsiders can put in their own pictures and videos into your Google My Business. And on and on. They can communicate with you directly through text. And I have not tested this yet, but it appears that we're able to send a message directly to email through chat. So it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So with that, I'd like you to, hopefully I've helped you get your arms around this and realize that we really don't need to understand it all. We just need to understand that we want to bite off the biggest bite we can, instead of being in a little niche that doesn't do anything in the end, right? So the way to do it is to do it all. I was asked this yesterday. Well, do you think should I do social media, or should I do SEO? Should I do this? Should I do that? I should you do all of it. Silence after that. Well, that's because that's overwhelming to do all of it. But it's really not if you know how to set it up so that it syndicates, and all you're worried about is what's coming out of your blog. So with that, hopefully this has illuminated the way that you look at digital marketing today, in today's environment. And give us a call at 310-533-9145, and we can help you out, or shoot an email, or go on social media and get in touch with us, or do it yourself. But this is the way to do it. And this is Tim O'Keefe, Spider Juice Technologies out.